Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. So friends, in this video, I'm going to cover how to communicate your story in sales. Now, in my earlier video on my storytelling for sales series, I have covered what a story is and what a story is not. In this video, I'm going to talk about 4 steps how you can communicate your story effectively in sales. So if you are in sales, well, then this video will be very beneficial to you. So let's dive into it straight away. Well, friends, essentially, if you want to tell your story in sales, there are 4 steps. And those 4 steps are: number one is the context, number two is the challenge, number three is the response, and number four is the result. Now, let's understand each one of these steps through an example. I'm going to take one example and I'm going to take it from the context to the result. So let's go to my screen and understand this entire 4-step process on how to communicate your story in sales. So let's start with the first step, which is giving people the context. Now, friends, first give people enough background. Now, in the background, you need to talk about the when, the where, and the who. Now, let's take an example out here. 2 years ago, I got a call from the head of purchasing at one of India's largest retailers. Now, notice how this has been broken into a when, which is 2 years ago. I got a call from the head of purchasing, who, and at one of India's largest retailers, where. Right? This sentence has been broken into when, the where, and the who. Notice how specific this is. You immediately believe it's real, right? So after you have given the when, the where, and the who, you need to talk about the what. Now add what the person is thinking or feeling. Let's take the same example. I was surprised to hear from him, but excited, I thought. Perfect timing. I can share our newest innovation. Now, friends, here's what matters when you are giving storytelling, when you're using storytelling for sales. You need to make it about a person, not a product, right? I'll repeat that. Make it about a person, not a product. Steve Clayton from Microsoft says, to capture attention, tell stories about people, not products, and keep your context short. Right? So that is step number one. Give the context. Start with the when, the where, and the who. Move on to the what and keep it short. So that's step number one, which is context. Let's move on to step number two, which is the challenge. Now, friends, this is the most important and perhaps the longest step in the entire storytelling scenario. Now comes your challenge. Now let's continue with the same example. The head of purchasing said, we need to cancel our contract. Your products don't meet our quality standards. My face went red. I thought this can't be happening. Now here's the key, friends. Pick a challenge people can relate to. Okay. Don't talk about climbing Mount Everest or surviving a plane crash. Most people haven't really gone through that particular experience. They haven't really done that. Make it about something real. Make it about, meeting a target or meeting some client expectations or making a tough decision. That's something people can relate to. That's something people have done it before. Okay. So make it about something that people can relate to. Now, friends, the challenge should be the longest part of your story. Describe what it takes, share how the person felt. And here's something very important in challenge. Talk about vulnerability. Okay. Don't talk in a tone where you are a Superman. Now, vulnerability means not hiding your emotions or desires. It's being open about humanity, right? Your buyers aren't looking for a superhero. They want to talk to someone they can relate to. Now, think about this. Who would you trust more? Someone who says they are perfect at everything, or someone who admits they face the same problem you have, right? So that's the most important point out here. Talk about vulnerability, right? Show vulnerability. So that's step number two, which is the challenge. In the challenge, you need to talk about the problem you're facing. You need to show vulnerability and don't look like a superhero, right? And talk about humans, not products. So that's step number two, challenge, which is going to be the longest part of your story. Now let's move on to step number three, which is going to be your response. Now tell people what action was taken to solve the problem. Let's take the same example, right? You have gone through the context and the challenge. Now the response was, I flew to their headquarters the next day with our quality team. We spent 2 weeks testing their returned products and discovered the issue. A quality batch from one supplier. We immediately stopped using that supplier and replaced every defective product at no cost to them. Now, In the response, friends, don't make it very long. Pick out two most important actions. Don't give an entire story of you did these 5 steps. Pick out the two most important actions. Now, here is why this step matters so much, right? Imagine if someone tells you, my team was terrible when I started. Low morale, poor results, high turnover, but I fixed it. Now everything's great. Now, how does that feel? How would you feel? Probably frustrated, right? Because, they didn't tell you how they fixed it. They've told you about the problem that this person has got, he got a terrible team, low morale, poor results, and he fixed the team. But how did he fix it? He hasn't told you, right? So without the response, people might think you just got lucky. The response shows your process. It shows you can do it again. Okay, so that's step number 3. We have covered context. Step number 2 is challenge, and step number 3 is response. And finally, step number 4 is your result. Finally, show how things turned out. Okay, with the same example, 3 months later, the head of purchasing called me. He said, your response impressed our board. We are not only keeping the contract, we are extending it to 3 more product lines. We turned a near disaster into our biggest account. So that's the result after the response. Now you need to remember one thing. The result shows the transformation. What exactly happened from your problem, your challenge to your result, right? If the person felt overwhelmed before, well, now they are in control. If the person felt nervous before, now they are confident. If they were struggling before, well, now they are succeeding. 1 or 2 sentences is enough, okay? You don't want to sound like you're bragging. And friends, here's a tip. Try and include as many numbers as you can, right? That makes your story more credible. So instead of saying we helped them close more deals, we helped them close 39% more deals would be better. Instead of costs went down, say operating costs dropped by 74%. So try and include as many numbers in your result. So friends, I hope you have liked this video. If you have found value, please do subscribe to my channel. Please do press the like button. And please let me know if there's any other topic you want me to cover. I will be more than happy to make a video on that for you. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.